and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Let's go ahead and jump right into our first story. So in the last 5 years, there have been 20 measures to enact ranked choice voting, or better known as RCV, on the ballot, including 4 statewide measures and 16 measures in cities and counties across the country. Of those 20 measures, there have been 18 victories for RCV. In the last 13 cities to vote on RCV in 2019 and 2021, voters have approved each one with an average victory of margin of nearly 30 percentage points. So yes, we are starting today's show with great news. Cause again, I'm the one hosting the show today. So I always like to stay, it's like that sandwich, ploy where he's like compliment, give them the critique and then the compliment, right? So that we're sandwiching the show today a little bit. So 30 percentage points. So ranked choice voting really appears to be something that voters are really into. And we're going to get into what ranked choice voting is. I know many of you are already fully aware of what it is and how it works, but I want to make sure that we are educating our audience as well. 9 ballot measures to implement forms of ranked choice voting will be on this November's ballot. So we've gotten 18 passed over the last 5 years, and there are 8 in this year alone that are going to be voted on in November this year. 3 counties and 5 cities. The ballot measure in Nevada is a citizens initiative. So if you guys remember when I did all of those ballot initiatives, and if you remember the Nevada initiative, there was one for ranked choice voting that I was super amped about. And there are 4 local measures were referred to the ballot by local charter commissions, and 4 were placed on the ballot by a city council. A little bit in the weeds there, but that's okay. I think we have, like I said, I think we have a really informed audience. But Faze, I want to go ahead and play this short video that explains how something like ranked choice voting would actually work. Pardon me.
Politics is tearing us apart, and it's because elections aren't working for most of us. Here's why. In the US, each of us can vote for the candidate we like the most, but whenever more than 2 candidates are running to win one seat, it's possible for most voters to hate whoever wins. Because of this split vote, politicians can ignore the will of most voters and still win. Ranked choice voting gives you the freedom to select a backup choice to prevent that from happening. Let's say a group uses ranked choice voting to decide what to eat for dinner tonight. Each voter selects their favorite dish, but also has the option to choose backup dishes. If one food receives more than half the votes, it wins, just like in any other election. But let's get to dessert, where the competition is more fierce. What if no ice cream flavor has more than 50% of the vote? Under a normal race, vanilla would win, even though a majority of voters didn't pick it. With ranked choice voting, the flavor with the fewest votes is eliminated, and voters who chose that flavor as number 1 will have their votes count for their next choice. Everyone gets a say, no one wastes their vote, and the winner is the flavor that the largest number of people agreed upon. That's ranked choice voting. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. You get more voice and more choice, and that makes elections better for all of us.
Very nice. Very nice. So the following states have measures coming up in their state or municipality on November 8th. So if you know anybody in these areas, please make sure that they're aware of these opportunities to vote. The state of Nevada, woo! Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Clark County, Washington, San Juan, Washington, Multnomah County, Oregon, Fort Collins, Colorado, Evanston, Illinois, and Portland, Maine. So, Sarah, I know you've been a big part of pushing ranked choice voting in our, municipality. Tell us a little bit about what that's been like for you. What has been the reaction from people that you speak to on the street?
Well, first of all, I want to point out that the video that we just showed was chosen through ranked choice voting. I figured out how to use Google Sheets to create a poll, and it was amazing. But it's been great. I think that the reality is that once people are aware of ranked choice voting, they're on board. It's a really simple system that creates the ability to elect our representatives as a majority, whereas currently we're using a plurality system. So as the video pointed out, the majority of voters can be really disappointed in the results. And from my understanding, a democracy always meant the majority. So what are we doing?
Right. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Tazima? What are your thoughts on RCV?
Yeah, with all of the challenges around elections right now, these conversations and concerns about issues like minority rule and the ways that things kind of get pushed through in the cracks, this, I think, can start to restore voter confidence as a possibility of, okay, not only does my vote matter, but like my second choice matters. And I can pool that sort of voice resource with the people who agree with the best ways to have governance. And then we have like less people being really pissed off about really pissed off about the results. And I like more satisfaction for more people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you consider that most of the elections that somebody wins is not by a majority, then quite naturally you find that the majority ends up being very unhappy with the results. Not to mention, this whole like voting for the lesser of two evils things has really shot us in the foot. Who knew? Who knew voting for evil people would create evil results?
Having to make those calculated decisions is not something that should happen. We should be able to choose who we actually want. Yeah. And this system creates that ability where we can choose who we want and then who we, could stand and then who we wouldn't revolt against, and go down the list from there.
Exactly. Which, as we know these days, is an important part.
And the other part here is that as we are moving into greater and greater possibilities of these are options that are real and useful and handy and accessible. It's not like we have to overhaul everything. This is a slight shift.
It's a simple
upgrade that can produce a lot of satisfaction. I've had colleagues and friends for years now saying, I'm tired of voting defensively. I'm tired of having to go to the polls to make sure something terrible doesn't happen. Yeah. And this is a tremendous opportunity for us to shift something small so that something really great can happen.
Yeah, but we also see when all those voters do go to the polls to keep something awful from happening, those awful things end up happening anyway. And a big piece of that, as many of our audience members know and as we know, is that this duopoly that we're operating under isn't really a duopoly at all. This is one party rule, and they have this theatrics set up so that we can pretend like we have some kind of choice in this really fake system that they've gotten set up for us. So if you're wondering how ranked choice voting has been going for these areas that have already adopted it, there was a study published by New America from the 2020 Democratic presidential primaries that shows that this new approach was actually really effective in providing consensus for selecting a presidential candidate while acknowledging the desires of diverse voters. According to the model used in Alaska, Hawaii, Kansas, Nevada, and Wyoming, Nevadans, I know that I say that word the way you don't like it, voters selected their top 5 candidates in order of preference. One surprising result of the study showed that just how enthusiastic Democratic voters were in 3 predominantly Republican states that used RCV. Despite a pandemic and a new unusual form of voting, Democratic voters were particularly energized to participate in Alaska, Wyoming, and Kansas with huge turnout. So RCV does come with a level of skepticism because it's new and nobody has really seen it. But the studies are showing that the voters have been really happy with it. And also I looked up who won the Democratic primary in those states, because of course I had to look it up. Right. It was Biden. Sorry, I was hoping it was going to be some and Bernie Sanders won those states. No, that is not what happened. Apologies, And that also just points to, in my opinion, all of the many ways that we need to go about breaking down this duopoly, right? Ranked choice voting is one of the things. We would need a viable, third party. We'd probably need to get all of the money out of politics, so there is still a lot to be done, but to see how quickly this is gaining steam and that we have 8 new areas, municipalities, counties, and a state that are going to be moving to ranked choice voting, I think is really promising. And I think what we all need to really get clear on is that we're not going to be handed any level of power or anything at all. We gotta go and take it. And so this is one of those ways to do that. So if you're interested in getting involved in ranked choice voting in your area, I'm going to let Sarah direct you to where you ought to go. Okay.
Well, as Kira and I have talked about like multiple times, anytime you're trying to get involved in anything, you should start where it's already started. So look for organizations in your area that are already doing this work. I'm going to just promote Fair Vote because that's the organization that I've worked with. They've got an international organization, but they also have local chapters. I work with Fair Vote Illinois, but if there is not a Fair Vote in your area, you can sign up for the email list on that website, and you can look up the Activist Toolkit to learn how to start something in your area. But there are existing organizations supporting ranked choice voting in 38 states, as well as Washington, D.C. And you can find those at fairvote.org/state_based_coalition_partner_group.
We'll get it in the show notes.
Yeah, just basically find the organization that exists. And if it doesn't, then you can use Fair Vote as a resource to start your own.
Awesome. And Danny, I got the voice of the ranked choice voting commercial was the same the voice as the drug commercials. Spot on. You're totally right about that. That was hilarious. And then we have a lot of folks in the chat that are definitely huge fans of ranked choice voting here. We have people saying, it's a must if we want third and fourth parties. And then, hi, Holly. What's going on? Great to see you in the chat. Cool. So I think we have some really promising and exciting things coming up. Let's check and see if we have any super chats or anything exciting. Roger Meadows, tip $2. Kira, I miss working with you. I sent out some emails to you. Idaho just got financing of K through 12 public school ed with a tax hike on incomes above $250,000. I remember that one. That was a good one. The following states have and Roger Meadows with $2 more. The following states have completed what voters were able to get done on the ballot in Idaho, California, South Dakota, Oregon, and Nevada. While the rest were not able to get any initiatives on the ballot, submitted signatures are still counting on their deadlines for August 8th. Okie dokie. Thank you, Roger Meadows. You frickin' rock. I'm so glad that we actually Roger still emails me all the time. We're still in touch, but I do miss working with you as well, Roger. I'm shocked that he'd say that he misses working with me though, because I feel like I gave him so many headaches. Oh man, anybody that's worked in the studio with me before knows what I'm talking about.